Hey guys, listening to a lot of people on social media talk about how they did not. It's not that they did not expect this happening in Europe or in England, but they're only now saying, only just now, in the year 2025, are saying that it's no longer safe for Jews in Europe. Many parts in Western Europe. Folks, as if it was safe 5 years ago, 10 years ago, even 20 years ago. Guys, I remember I was visiting friends in Switzerland in the year 2000, believe it or not, in Zurich. And they were telling me that basically they have all these, because after the war in Bosnia, all these Kosovars are coming, Kosovars and Turks coming to Switzerland, and they live on what's called social welfare. They don't want to integrate. They don't want to learn the language. Maybe the newer generation, but the older generation for sure not. But I remember at that time, 25 years ago, them telling me, already we see that there's an issue here, but nobody wants to say it. Oh, we need workers. This is just multiculturalism. We need workers. We have immigration. Like, why? What's the problem, right? You have different cultures living here. I remember the same thing when I visited my relatives in Germany, Western Germany. Same story. I remember they're saying, okay, yeah, these are citizens of Germany. Like, well, what's up? What's the problem? We're talking about 2003, 2004. And then I remember visiting England and then France. England, I think I came in, actually before that even, 2002. France, already 2009. Folks, by the time I got to 2009 in Paris, I remember I was there, they told us, it was like a tour group. We were on our way to Israel, and they said, guys, be careful when you go to all these places, Champs-Élysées, all these places, because they have these ladies in the niqab, in the burqa, and then the kid will pickpocket you, and then they'll put your wallet under the burqa and goodbye. You're not gonna. What are you gonna do? You're gonna pat down a lady with a burqa, and you don't even know where this kid went, right? Your stuff disappears, basically. Folks, already in the 2000s, in the early 2000s, we knew what was going on in Europe. There's a famous journalist in Israel, Tzvi Yehezkeli. He speaks Arabic. He went undercover into places like Sweden, Denmark. I think he went to England as well. For sure, Sweden and Denmark. As a Muslim, he went into the mosques, and he made a documentary about Islam in Europe. Folks, it's called Allah Islam. You can find it on YouTube. I'm going to post it here. It's like a 2.5 hour documentary, multi-part documentary. Folks, this documentary, I guess it was, released in 2012. I think it was filmed in 2010 or 2011, maybe even before that. Folks, this is stuff that was already going on for years and years and years. In my opinion, folks, Jews were not safe in Europe already, for sure in France, not safe, already for ages. And you talk to French Jews, and you ask them, how, the ones that are still there, in Marseille, Paris, all these places, in Nice, why haven't you made Aliyah? Well, my business. Folks, these are people who have businesses and they receive social at the same time. So they're literally staying. They can get on a plane, and it's a 3-hour flight for them, 4-hour flight to Israel. To Israel, and they're staying there because of the money. They can have a remote business. They can have their business remotely and be in Israel. No, you don't understand. What do you mean I don't understand? Look what's going on around you. In France and England, Spain. Well, not that Jews live in Spain so much. Germany, folks. You have to be nuts. At this point, you have to be absolutely out of your mind. Guys, for me, England was no different. I had friends when I was living in Israel, I had friends who, from London, from Manchester, all these places. The stories they told me, I mean, they themselves, the ones who made Aliyah, don't understand why their compatriots, so to speak, are still in England. The wealth. Oh, they have all their wealth, folks. We know Jewish history. We know the whole wealth thing, right? You wanna leave a rich guy or come as a schlepper, right? Or leave as a schlepper eventually, right? I just saw an amazing meme which I posted, I think, on my Instagram. It said, the Jews back in the day, the turn of the 20th century, the pessimists ended up in Ellis Island and the optimists ended up in Auschwitz. The people who thought it was going to get better ended up in Auschwitz. The pessimists ended up in Ellis Island, right? They left Germany and went to America. My friends, do me a favor. Be a pessimist. When it comes to Jewish history, be a pessimist. Be optimistic about the future of the Jews in Israel, right? And about the Geulah, and about the rebuilding of Israel, about the situation in Israel. On that, folks, I'm optimistic, despite everything, right? Rav Kook said, our foibles are great, our consolations are even greater, right? Our problems are greater, our troubles are greater, our consolations are greater. But he's talking about Israel, the Jews in Israel, guys. He understood it even at that time, in the early 1900s, what was going on in the diaspora. He wrote his book Orot. He wrote this book published in 1920, over 100 years ago. He saw what's coming. My friends, when it comes to the diaspora, the Jewish diaspora, be a pessimist. That's the only advice I can give you. Not that you asked for it, but if I have to give you something. Alright, guys. I think I'm going to post this movie so you guys can watch it. This parts of this, documentary. And, Bezrat Hashem. Alright, guys. Shabbat Shalom, and talk to you soon.